Well, let's speak to Rana Sabah, who is a Jordanian investigative journalist and joins us now from Amman. Thank you so much for joining us on The World Today, Rana. And if I can ask you, first of all, for the residual shock that I'm sure still remains amongst Arab nations about what's happened.
I mean, for sure, everyone in the region is asking whether we are living in a cowboy land or in a rule of law world. And unfortunately, the Israelis have really taken law into their own hands at all levels, and justice seems to be an elusive dream for Arab countries. There will never be justice when it comes to the Arabs and to the Palestinians. We've seen one time after the other how Israel has basically ignored advisory calls from the International Criminal Court, from the International Court of Justice, declaring settlements in the occupied West Bank illegal, saying that, they're threatening demographics and the future plans for a Palestinian state. Netanyahu and the Minister of Defense have been declared, as wanted, and there has been an arrest warrant against them, but they're able to travel around the world. So if Mr. Netanyahu would like Qatar to arrest the outlaws, then why doesn't America arrest people that are wanted by the International Court of Justice or the Criminal Court? It's just a very basic question.
We've been trying to work out what the next step is for Qatar, for the Qatari leaders, and we believe that there will be some sort of response. We've actually been hearing from the Qatari Prime Minister on another news station talking about the response under discussion with regional partners. What kind of response could Qatar and regional partners come up with, do you think, to this?
I think they're going to go to the United Nations. The UN is meeting tonight. They're going to be asked that Netanyahu be prosecuted or, be held accountable or tried for invading a country that's sovereign under Article 2 of the International Charter. And, we all know that some countries can say they are doing something to protect themselves, but this has to be, proportionate, and it should not happen on the territories of a third country that has nothing to do with the aggressor or the aggressee. So, probably the Arab countries will go. They will go probably to the International Court of Justice. But again, as I told you, they can get whatever decisions they want. Who is going to implement them?
And of course, as you mentioned before, the wider implications of this, the undermining of the trust in mediation processes in areas or parts of the world where it's believed you can go to mediate, to discuss peace. That level of trust is probably no longer there. What does that mean going forward for the region?
Well, I think, from now on, the Israelis wanted to send two messages by using Qatar and attacking Al-Hayya, or trying to assassinate the top negotiator of Hamas with on the Israeli peace accords. So by going after him, Mr. Al-Hayya is known to be very pro-Iranian and quite a hardliner or a hawk inside Hamas. And he is blamed by the Israelis of not wanting to accept the latest American plan, which I call a plan for surrender, because under this plan, all the Americans want on behalf of the Israelis is to basically have a ceasefire, take out the Israeli the bodies and the people that have been held, and then after that, just push Hamas out, push and clear Gaza of the weapons. But there's no clarity on what's going to happen next. Who's going to take over Gaza? What's going to happen to the Palestinians? Will they be pushed out? Will the Israelis put pressure on the Egyptians to accept the voluntary, departure of Gazans? This is all, all what the Israelis are doing now is just creating the illusion that they are constantly the most moral army, and they are constantly abiding by law, and they are constantly the best people that are always attacked. But, in reality, when the Israeli defense minister is ignoring his own, the council of his own defense ministry lawyer that's telling him that you should not be invading Gaza City without providing humanitarian corridor. I mean, they're not even, they've become like any other dictatorship. I'm sorry to say.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry we have run out of time, but I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. Thank you so much, Rana Sabah. Thank you once again.